Hi guys, welcome to Super 7 Fingers Art Room. Today I thought I'd show how to draw a mandala. So, mandalas are fairly easy to draw. You can hand draw them just by starting with circle. I like to use a compass because it gives me even dimensions and lines and everything is evenly spaced around. So, compass is fairly simple to use. You have a pointing end with a metal piece and you have a pencil on the other end. Press your pointing piece down in there, and once you get good at it, you'll be able to spin it with the little end piece. If you're having a hard time with that, you can always take it, set it down, and as long as you keep the circle the same size with your initial start, you can even spin the paper. Thing is, you want this to be on the line, and then wherever it crosses at, you're going to make sure it's on that cross. And then you just follow it around every time it crosses. So every time it crosses, you just follow it around. It gets everything pretty even all the way around. The last one at the bottom, you have 3 at the top, 1 at the bottom. We'll finish up our last. And that gives us our little flower of life. Each one of these points is equally spaced apart. Everywhere it crosses is equally spaced apart. So you can now go in, now that you have that, you can move this in or out. You move it in or out, and you can do different things to it. The big thing is, whatever you do to this point, you do to this point, this point, this point, this point, this point. Whatever you do to this point, you do this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And I like to start out just doing little circles or big circles or something like that. And you can always make new points whenever you cross a line. So, say I'm going to start here. And I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. And I'm going to make a new circle. And that gives me kind of this ring shape. This is really good for concentration if you have a hard time concentrating. Because if you mess it up, you will see it. Because everything is perfectly going around. And you just keep it up every time. Whatever you do to one point, you have to do it to all the points. There's my point. Sometimes it takes a second to find once you start getting a whole bunch of lines in. Every once in a while, you'll flip it like that. But now I have all these shapes, all these little angles, all these different turns. And I have new lines, new crosses, new places where I can cross at, which I can definitely add some more different lines into. So let's go, let's see. You kind of make this up as you go. Because eventually you are looking for patterns. So this is a great way to find patterns and look for patterns and find interesting shapes later. And once you start, there we go. Make sure you don't put it in the wrong place. So this is the X I'm looking for whenever it crosses. It's right at the bottom of that little diamond. And all I'm doing is making circles. Circles, circles, circles. I've got some circles down there. They're all mapped out, the same ones. Now I can actually start to look for shapes. Now that I can look for shapes, I'm just use a pen and outline the shapes that I think are interesting, that I think may prove to make something look cool. Like, I kind of like this shape right here. And how it comes down. I think I'm going to end it right there. And you get this cool shape right there. I think that's a really neat shape. I like to spin my work while I'm working. It's a lot easier to pull a line than push a line. So if you're having a hard time getting your line smooth and straight, it's easier to pull a line than push a line. All I'm going to do is I'm going to find that same interesting shape each place all the way around. I'm going to follow that all the way around. What I do to one, I do to the other. What you're looking at is radial symmetry. You'll see it a lot in things like rose windows of churches and stuff like that. All mandalas have them. You can get an artistic flair later on. I have all those shapes in there. It's the same one all the way around. I didn't quite connect the lines there. Don't know if I think I am going to connect the lines. I'm kind of making this up as we go. I've made hundreds of these, if not thousands. It's something I do really enjoy doing. And you can make them and make them and make them and never come out with the same thing twice. That's an interesting shape. And you'll continue to do that all the way around. If you do mess up, you just incorporate that into your design. So you just kind of go and mess up all the way around. If you take a line too far, or not far enough, you can always fix it. If you take a line too far, you just go back and you incorporate that line into your design. Because all you're doing is following these lines that you've already pre-made using your compass. Those curved up. See, I almost messed up there. Make sure I'm curving on the right line. Gives me like a neat little ball up in the middle. We can branch out and adding. Sometimes I take things just one line at a time, because I may decide to go back and use my compass. Give me some more points to kind of connect with. Very calming process. You're looking for patterns. Bring it down and back up. Yeah, kind of like that. Back up to the top. I often spin my canvas around just because it makes it easier for me. Some people don't like to do that, but it helps keep me consistent. If you have dirty hands, you get a lot of smudges though. So be careful. Make sure your hands are clean, or either you have something under here to kind of keep your hands from smudging. Whew. Almost to the end of that pattern. What should I add? Should I go? I think I will go around there that way. We're just going to come to this outside edge. You'd be surprised at how much the pattern will vary up if you just make a slight change to the size of your circles you put in it. And you make circles as small or as big as you want. Even double the size of your center. It makes a cool little swirl pattern. Thousands of designs made from one simple tool. There we go. Now the cool part is we can actually go in and do some other stuff to this. You can go in and add more circles if you like. I think a little circle right there in the middle might be cool. Maybe we'll give it a stripe effect. I'm gonna just bring this out. Run that around. Yeah, a little bit more. Run it around. Now, just a little bit the same way. Bring it around that way. That'll give me a little stripe effect in here that I can trace out. You can get really super detailed in one of these, or you can make it even as simple as tracing all the lines. And if you go back and color it, you put like red here, but you have to put red here, red here, red here, green here, green here, green here. That'll give you a symmetrical pattern. I've done this with my students, and we do like a color wheel pattern. And your red, blue, and green, and your purple, orange, and yellow. And you can do a neat little color wheel variation on it. Boom, 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 boom. What else can we add? You can do a lot of hand-drawn elements in this now, because you do have these things out. I still like to use the compass just to make sure stuff is centered and looks where it's going and stuff. But, you know, even if you want to come in and just Draw a little circle. Nice hand, free-drawn element to it. It's just whatever you put in one place, you have to put in the other. Now let's add some other visual elements. And yeah. So once you have these, we can have those same things all along here. I'm not adding anything crazy. It's almost like little quarter flowers. And that's a nice little design to it. You can even come back and do some outlining type things, even if you come in here. You're just adding little pieces, but it gives it a little more depth. And you just add. And here, if it's close, it doesn't look too bad. Depends on how detailed you're going to get it. If you have more elements, it's harder to tell when you mess up. But if you mess up, you just incorporate it somehow. I tell my students, you don't want to work on something for a few hours and then mess up and, oh, now you're done with it. Think how you can fix it, how you can incorporate it back in there. If you did mess something up or not put a line where you wanted to, or if something's looking wonky. You're just adding as you go. Let's add. We can add some long elements. So we can put like little circles. And little circles are easy, almost like little buttons. Some mandalas are a little bit more organic in nature. You could do like leaves coming out, but having that initial flower of life does help you kind of keep everything kind of straight. You can do a super geometric pattern like that. Then you just add elements as you go. Something as tiny as just a little ribbon here or there will help you do a lot. And you can see I'm using these lines to kind of see where to stop that ribbon at. Just a quick little ribbon of stuff. I can spend hours doing this, just creating, or even adding this as a visual element to something else. Just creating for the sake of creating and relaxing. Very relaxing. Oftentimes when I'm doing something like this and I'm not recording, I'm listening to music or maybe watching another video or having it at least in the background, like study music. Let's see, where should we add? I think we'll add one right here. Now we'll come down like that. I'm still using these little pre-made lines we had before to show kind of where I want to stop my line at. And I'm trying to keep all these shapes fairly uniform. But you're adding one little element at a time. One little element at a time. That way you don't get confused or forget an element. It's just a nice repetition. I like repetition. Repetition is symmetry. It's starting to look more and more 3D. 3D, is that a word? Maybe not. So I'm going to start from this. It's about center of those lines. I might add a little element there. A little ribbon. You're initially just looking for patterns. And now you're adding little details that make it pop. Simple, basic shapes put together, especially in a repetition form, gives a unity and a balance. And unity and balance are always always good elements and stuff to put in, and good principles to use. It's two of your principles of art are balance and symmetry. And this is even more so because it's radial symmetry, so it's symmetrical even if you cut it into pie pieces. Each pie pieces can look the same. Let's see, what will look interesting? Maybe something coming down from these corners. Maybe coming across, line stuff up. Now that's in the center. We'll start out with that. We'll start out with just a little dot in the center. Then maybe we'll come up with an idea to expand on that little dot. If not, it's just another little dot. It's something else to lead your eye around and to look for. Trying to keep them fairly uniform. Let's think of what we can add. I've already added like the flower. I've added some long ones. Plus some swirls. I like swirls. Do you like swirls? I like swirls. So we can add some swirls around it. Off the edge and kind of swirl around. Yeah, it looks okay. Now I'm just adding little things at a time. Just a little hint at stuff. Nothing takes very long. And you can see stuff coming out of it. And your pattern is growing and growing and growing. Which is kind of neat. Let's put another swirl like that. Now let's up by the edge. That gives a nice little design in the middle of that swirl. One element at a time, one element at a time. Using your lines to build. We'll add another. Let's see if we can get another pattern here. Maybe do a little circle like that. Now we can use those. Now we just follow that same pattern all the way around. It breaks up areas. So these bigger areas get kind of broken down and you can add stuff into them that breaks them in smaller areas. And you can add stuff in the smaller areas if you like. If not, it just gives you a more dynamic piece with your little areas. And as I said, it's calming, relaxing. You're just creating. It doesn't take a huge amount of artistic skill to go. You're not painting a portrait. It's a nice geometric design. And then you're adding just little hand-drawn squiggles and doodles. Squiggles and doodles. Anybody can draw dots. Can draw one of them little ribbons. Can draw a little thing, tracing a line. As long as you put the same element in there, in every one, it pretty much looks the same going around. I think I'm gonna go ahead and bring this line down to here. I kind of like that. Almost looks like little bugs now. Bugs can be interesting too. Just doing that same lines all the way around. Looks almost like a little face with stuff on the outside now. That's pretty cool. I have these areas here that I can go into. Maybe we'll add circles, because if you see, there's some little lines in here, so I can keep my circles spaced out and keep them fairly uniform in size. You can always add other little elements, even going around that. Small elements sometimes make a big difference. I like that. Let's see. Maybe I'll put a little dot in the end of all these. I know. I'm going to outline these with some little bumps. Simple things. Little simple pieces added in. Added in, added in. And it looks more and more elaborate. But you and me know, hey, it's simple little half circles, simple little bumps. I'm just trying to keep them uniform, so they're all about the same size. It's a good drawing practice if you want to keep things the same size, because a lot of things are in proportion to other things. And this is a neat little activity. You're just adding a little piece at a time. A little piece at a time. Relaxing and concentrating. Yeah. You don't have time to think about other stuff if you're having a long day. This is something to help take your mind off that stuff. Because if you don't concentrate, if you don't focus, you can mess up. Even now, it's a struggle for me to talk and do this at the same time. Luckily, I teach this to students, so I have to do this a lot. Let's see. What other element should we add? Oh, how about let's add like a little spacer in here. I think we can do that. Let's see. I believe for me to get to that point, I came from here. Will that be enough? Maybe that'll be two. Maybe something coming out of here. Guess what? A circle. One more circle. The simple circle is one of the greatest things in the world. If you put enough concentric circles together, you can make just about any shape when they cross. You have your hexagons, septagons, hexagons, everything, squares, rectangles. You just connect certain points. All this stuff adds up and adds together. It's very mathematical. If you have a hard time understanding something like geometry or something, patterns, art will definitely help you out. Okay, 2 circles. Talking about math actually gave me an inspiration for something. It's funny, you can find inspiration sometimes in the tiniest of places. But to become inspired, if you ever have an art block or something like that, where you say, what am I going to make today? Yeah, I think Picasso said for you to get inspired, you have to just start. You have to just start. And just that act of starting can sometimes be enough to inspire you. And to give you an idea, and you start thinking about things, and That's why I like working around people, because oftentimes they'll say something and an idea will come to you. I always think about like an artist commune would be like an ideal thing where many artists doing all kind of different stuff. You wouldn't just want somebody drawing and somebody making pottery or sculpture and maybe a leather craft worker or something like that. Just all kind of artisans around. I think that'd be a fantastic place to be. And just the inspiration would just be flowing constantly. Let's see. I'll leave that right there. Let's do a little work on the outside. What can we add to the outside? No, I've done like little squiggly things, kind of like the stuff coming off denim. We can do like this. Once again, we do little circles. I love circles. Circles are magic. I'm gonna make something look cooler. Add a circle or a button even. Come around. Give it almost a rivet look. A rivet's like a fastener that holds stuff down. This gives it a solid look. I'm just adding a small element. Like I said, whatever you do to one, you just do to the other. Points or corners or straight lines or outlining. And just following it around. And you can make, like I said, 1,000 of them and never make the same thing twice. Or, because you did the flower of life and you put certain circles somewhere, you can easily create any design over and over and over and over if you needed to, without a template, with just a couple circles in the same place. And then just adding these little elements here or there. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I still feel like I need something in here. And I can do a circle. But I kind of like that shape in there. That's a neat shape. Maybe I'll just go off my lines I've already have and just add that little shape in. Sometimes you don't have to do anything crazy. You're just making another little section. Those little sections can inspire you. Little by little, just filling in stuff. All right. Let's do some like, this is like scales. That's neat. I like that. And I'm just doing little half circles from the center of these to the center of these. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep them uniform. And you see how they're just a little different, but you can't tell too bad. I guess I could have used my lines too to measure it out and make it more perfect, but I like hand-drawn stuff too, so it's the imperfections that make life worth living. Not everything's perfect. There's no such thing as perfection, but you can get better. Over time, just some practice. And humans, as far as pattern recognition, we are great at pattern recognition. We are fantastic at pattern recognition. I think it comes from way back when we were still living in caves and stuff. And you had to recognize a pattern, or else the lion would eat you, the tiger, or whatever else kind of animal was out there. I'm just kind of measuring these up. That little square look lonely. We have all these black lines in here. We still got these pencil lines in here. Let's take some of it off and see what pattern we got and how that's going to look. When I'm drawing these, I'm actually drawing really light with my pencil. So you may not have even been able to see all those lines. But you can definitely see the black lines that are following when it's done. A lot of times I'm teaching my students to erase. If they want to take it out, if you erase between your fingers like this, you tend not to bend the page and stuff. It does take a little pressure to erase. Yeah, now we have that wonderful mandala there. Now, you guys can make your own. Simple little compass. You can actually pick this up at the dollar store. Something like that. They're pretty cheap. I think this one costs $1. And then any ink pen will do. Unless you're going to color with like watercolors or anything. But pens, markers, stuff like that, once you add to it, it can be colorful or like this. Great thing to do. You make copies of it, make coloring things for your friends, make coloring things for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, making the mandala with us. Hope you learned some things. Now go create.